Hello and welcome to Sportswomen Australia. A podcast, as the name suggests, is a celebration of Australia's female sporting champions, our rising stars, and of course the big players behind the scene. Tiffany Cherry joining you alongside my wing woman every week, Amanda Slanty. Great to be chatting with you again and very much looking forward to this next podcast.
Hi Tiff, yeah, I'm really excited too. So today we have Sophie Taylor. She is a hockey Roos player. She's represented the Australian Hockey Roos she made her debut last year. She wears their number one jumper. She's a defender for the team and we're so excited to have her with us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, no worries. So we know that you've just come off the back of the Oceania Cup. Unfortunately, it was a loss against New Zealand. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we went into Oceania and it was our Olympic qualification event. So had we won, we would have had automatic qualification for the Olympics next year, but unfortunately that was not to be. We had a poor performance in the first game and New Zealand, really turned it on. And then from there we had a very good performance in game 2 and came away with a win. And I think it showed a lot of character of the group. We had backs against the wall to kind of come up and, run really hard and, really grind out a win. And then in the final game, we had a 1-1 draw. But unfortunately, due to the rules of Oceania, the way it worked out was the team that had scored the most goals qualified, whereas previously, in all the current tournaments at the moment, results are determined on one-on-one shootouts. So basically, like in soccer, when you do a penalty, similar to that. And that's how normally all our tournaments are to get out. So, we missed qualification currently by 1 goal. So we now go into another event, hopefully qualify.
And that event is against Russia in Perth, I believe, at the end of October, like the 25th or 26th. Is it a one match and do or die for the Olympic qualification?
Yes, we have 2 matches against Russia. So one on the Friday and then one on the Saturday. I think it's still to be confirmed exactly. But I think that's again on aggregate goal score. So we want to make sure that we start well to set ourselves up appropriately to make sure we gain qualification for the Olympics.
So what's the mindset for you as a young player? This will be your first Olympic Games. It's right on the edge. It's obviously which sport is, and certainly at the Olympic level. How do you go into these 2 matches?
I think it's important that I guess we've probably learned a lesson that whilst we took confidence leading into Oceania, we still have to perform and actually we have to make it happen. It's not just going to happen. So I'm probably one of the newer members of the team. So whilst that is the case, I still feel like I'm a leader amongst the group, but I'm not necessarily one of the players that plays huge minutes. So for me, it's personally about how can I have an impact in the amount of minutes I get on the field, which may be less than some other players, but also how can I impact off the field, sitting on the bench or at quarter time, half time and things like that. So it's about preparing myself as best I possibly can mentally, because again, on a given day, if you have an injury, all of a sudden your game time goes up, and that's something you've got to be prepared for too. So I think it's something that I've learned along the way. When I was a younger athlete, I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform, and it just didn't work. I used to get really nervous and almost got to the point of not enjoying it. I've been able to, I guess, working with different people, doing a lot of mindfulness and yoga and all those kind of things, been able to kind of scale that back a fair bit and, go with some clear focuses. So I'm, focused and ready to go, but taking that pressure off, mistakes are going to happen. And I think that was a huge fear for me when I was younger. I just couldn't deal with making a mistake, and as a result, that would impact my performance because I'd make a mistake and it's like, game over. So to be able to split that mindset, which is really hard to do, because at the end of the day, a lot of athletes are perfectionists. We all want to be as good as we possibly can be. So to split that mindset, and I think we are in such a privileged position. We only get to play for a club team, a state team, or your country for so long. So why not make the most of every single opportunity? Because you just don't know when it's going to be your last opportunity at the end of the day.
And I imagine that you would learn quite a lot of from a lot of the more experienced players about how to deal with those sorts of pressures and things like that, about injuries and the dynamics. So with the squad selection, have they tried to balance that up with sort of more experienced players and more youthful players? Is that how it's looking?
Yeah, definitely. I think we had our pro league throughout the start of this year, and there was some selections where some younger players, were getting a go for a bit of experience, and then they were resting some older players, whether it was injury management or just load management. And we had to do a lot of travel as well, so that came into the mix of it, whereas previously we haven't had to do the same amount of travel as we've done previously. But this Oceania squad that we had a great mix of players who were very experienced and have been to an Olympics, if not 2, and have played in lots of, final type matches. And then there was a group of us as well who were less experienced, if you want to put it that way, and kind of newer on the scene and haven't played in as many of those matches. And I think we actually had a really good balance because sometimes having so many experienced players also doesn't work the same as
definitely.
having too many inexperienced. So I actually think we had a really good balance for this trip, and I think that's why in some ways it probably hurts a bit more that we didn't qualify, didn't play as well as we could, because we had such a good group out there on the park every day.
Sophie, I'm really interested to go back to what you said about the mindfulness and your mental approach. For some of our listeners out there who might be, really interested in understanding this and applying it to themselves and their own journeys, how do you split that balance between being ready and on, but not overstimulated and to the point where if you make a mistake, it's game over?
I think it's taken me a while to work it out, and I had to go one way and the other way, and you have to learn through doing. Unfortunately, you can't sit there, read a manual and go, oh, awesome, I'm going to implement that, and it just happens. It takes a lot of practice, and again, even, to that, like in this day and age, I reckon I still get it right and wrong here and there. So, I've used mindfulness techniques. I use Smiley Mind, the app, regularly just to kind of allow me to focus on my breathing, and that's probably something that I try to utilise on game day and in the lead up to game day. If I am, for some reason, feeling really anxious, there's a really stressful game, I've had too much coffee, sometimes happens, funnily enough, to try and calm me down and use my mindfulness to just settle me and use those techniques, I guess, to kind of settle the nerves.
Yeah.
And also using yoga as well. Like, whilst yoga has a great physical benefit in terms of your strengthening and your flexibility, the fact that a whole yoga session is tailored around your breathing, and all you're thinking about ideally is your breathing. So by using those techniques, I find that if you can kind of bring everything back to that, whether you're under aroused or over aroused, you can always kind of try and find somewhere in the middle, and that's going to be a ranging kind of degree. But you can typically get yourself in a pretty good position come game day.
On that, how much have you seen? I saw that you really started focusing on hockey as a teenager around 15 years of age. So you're now 24. So within that decade, how much have you seen the sport change from where it was 10 years ago from a professional sense to what you're talking about now? What comes into the game to really prepare you, for the tournament and for the events that really matter?
Yeah, I think it's probably more being individuals who have explored different kinds of techniques and strategies and all the rest to prepare yourself as best you possibly can for the game. So it's probably been more a player shift in terms of focus on using psych. Psych used to be taboo. People didn't go see psychs. Mindfulness, who would ever do that?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Dusty Barton, the last person you think in terms of the way he appears doing mindfulness, and he does the gratitude stuff with the Resilience Project, and all of a sudden it's kind of become weirdly socially acceptable, and now people are jumping on the bandwagon. So I think people have driven that idea. People have jumped into the yoga space, tapping in further, to recovery and how can we actually get the best out of recovery. Back in the day, everyone jumped in a 15-minute ice bath, but actually now, I know personally for us, after a strength session, I don't ice bath because I find it's actually detrimental, whereas after a hard hockey session, I will jump in the ice bath.
It'd send me crazy.
I
I'd hate it if I had to jump in one of those every time.
Yeah, so I think it's just about tinkering, and again as well, for each person to be able to get to the elite level of performance is different. So it's not, again, a checklist to like do this, and this, and I'll be able to perform. It's about, working out what works to ensure that you can get yourself at that level of professionalism that you require. I think we've probably learnt some steep lessons this year with, as I mentioned before, the amount of travel that we've had to have done with our pro league. We played 8 games at home and 8 games away, basically all across the globe. And I moved to Perth at the start of this year, and I spent 15 weeks of the year here, which is nothing in terms of how many weeks we have had. So, learning how do you recover from a 2-hour jet lag shift is actually almost harder than swapping your time zones completely to 10 to 9 hours. So I think there's definitely areas we can continue to tap into in terms of making sure we are as professional as we possibly can be. But sometimes financially there is a limit as to, how much you can actually do. For example.
Definitely. It sounds like it's a much more holistic approach to the health and well-being of athletes, which is always a positive thing. And I guess another really big aspect of that health and wellness is like your support from your family. So we know you've got triplet brothers, and I think one of your brothers plays hockey as well. What has the support been like from them? Is that a huge impact on your performance and how well you play?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a bit different this year because I've been so far away. I don't come home to my family at night and debrief or just hang out or whatever. But I guess knowing that they're always there, that if I'm having a tough day, I can reach out to them and they're always there to support me. And I think I established with them at quite a young age that I didn't want to come home from a hockey game and debrief it completely and go through every single moment. Actually, for me, what I needed was to talk about something completely different to hockey, and that's the support I needed. So I think the fact that they were so understanding of that, and really, just I'd come home after a bad day for, whatever reason, and we could read that situation and go, oh, okay, let's talk about something completely irrelevant, or a really good day as well, and just not have to focus on hockey, because I think that can be, unfortunately, some athletes, their family is so obsessed with the sport, which is also great because you want them to be, but it then can become overwhelming. You come home to your safe place and the place where you feel comfortable, and all of a sudden, how that pass, that goal score, this, that, and the other. It's like, whoa, there's other aspects to life.
Yeah, definitely. It's about the balance.
Hockey, but yeah, definitely. And I think, there's no way I would have got to, and a lot of people say this, to where I would have, like today, without the support of my family. But honestly, the support mum and dad have given me, and I think I probably realised it even more since moving out to Perth. Just incredible. They did whatever they possibly could to support me. The amount of early mornings and, late nights and sacrifices that they had to make, and also my brother had to make as well. He played sport himself, but I'm sure when he was a young kid, he was probably missing out on things that I didn't even realise he was missing out on, because he always had to get dragged to come watch sport and all the rest. So, they've been incredible throughout the journey, and I can't thank them enough for how supportive they have been.
Sophie, Amanda and I were having a laugh, chuckle about this, and then we had a chat with you, obviously, just before we started recording this, that we can't believe it, but there's another Carey grammarian who's on the line. Meg Lanning was our very first guest on Sportswomen Australia podcast, and then and you're our second. So both of you are old Carey grammarians, and as am I. So clearly the school's been doing something pretty good as well. How much impact did Carey have on where you've got to now?
Yeah, I think for me, I was pretty passionate about my academic side of life, and I think in terms of that, they supported me incredibly there about allowing me to manage my sporting commitments and the academic side. I only did 4 subjects in Year 12 and actually did 2 in Year 11 to make sure that my load could be managed throughout. I actually got really sick and had chronic fatigue kind of Year 10 to Year 12 as well, so they were, helpful in managing all of that load and understanding some of the commitments that we had as a young elite athlete at that stage. And probably the biggest thing for me, I played cricket as well with Meg, so I don't know her through that circle. So
they didn't offer cricket to girls at that stage when I was at Carey, but I played hockey, yes.
Yeah, there you go. So I followed in, Meg and Anna's footsteps in terms of playing with the boys at school, and I think it was really special in our Carey community that they were so welcoming to that. Every coach I had was incredible, and you look back now and go, currently, why would anyone pick up a stink about a girl playing in a boys' team? But back in, 10 years ago, of course, I'm sure there was that many parents picking up a stink, and at other schools, I have first-hand experience that from some of the boys of opposing schools and also parents of opposing schools. It was just awful, but Carey in itself was so understanding, so supportive, or always made sure that, I was comfortable and supported. So I think in terms of maybe not necessarily the hockey sense, but in terms of the cricket, they allowed me to pursue something that, if you put it to a football sense, that young girls, when they turned 14, they were no longer able to play footy with boys. They had to go play with the girls, or they couldn't play footy at all. Whereas that wasn't the case for me. It got to a point where I had to give up cricket because I wanted to pursue hockey and was also unwell. So, I think that support there, I look back and I go, oh, wow, I was so lucky to get that, but at the time didn't really realise how fortunate I was.
Good old Spider and Rimo. That's an in-house joke that you and I know.
And
I have to ask you, what house were you in before I ask you the next question?
I was in Cartwright.
Okay, we move on. Forget about that. I was in Toronto. So how did the choice come then? So you sort of touched on it, but could you have taken cricket to another level? What was your talent like? I mean, when did it come to you that, you were 15 years of age, but how did you come to that decision that you're going to go down the hockey pathway?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say in hindsight I could have taken cricket to another level. I reckon I could have, and I had a lot of people when I did decide to go down the hockey path go, oh, come on, I don't cricket, and please come to cricket, and, we'd love to have you back. But it got to a point for me, as I mentioned before, I did get diagnosed with chronic fatigue and had other health issues going on. But I am someone who loves exercising, running around, being fit and active, and I found it really hard going and spending a whole day playing cricket and possibly not doing a whole lot. So if you get out early in batting, or even if you're spending the whole day in the field, you weren't necessarily that active. So I get home from cricket camp and go, oh, now we'll go for a run. Whereas I knew I could go out and play hockey for 2 hours or a hockey finish and come home and was just absolutely wrecked. So weirdly enough, that was kind of one of the, I guess, the points that I chose. And again, then the fact that hockey was an Olympic sport, I guess I, from a young age, dreamed of winning an Olympic gold medal and still have that as a dream. And the fact that that's not an option in cricket, a reason, if you look at the money, the monetary side of it, I should have picked cricket. So that's one reason. I guess I look back and go, oh, if only I picked cricket for that reason. And in terms of how much the female game of cricket has grown, it's just incredible from where it was at. Like, it was a smaller profile sport than hockey when I basically was at my point of choosing the sports. And now, in terms of how much media exposure cricket gets, it's incredible and it's amazing for the sport. Whereas hockey, we're lagging behind currently still. So
they'll never get an Olympic medal or gold medal.
They won't, exactly. And you know what? If we walk away with an Olympic gold medal either at Tokyo or the next couple of Olympics, that'd be pretty incredible. But it was interesting to see that cricket's been added to, or women's cricket's been added to the Cobb Games for 2022. Yeah,
it's exciting.
And that's the thing. Money, unfortunately, it doesn't buy you an Olympic gold medal. So I take the Olympic gold medal over a little bit of extra cash in the bank account any day. So yeah.
So when you were growing up, what age did you actually start playing hockey?
I always get asked this question. I think I was about 6 or 7. So I played in a minky type of hockey, which is basically like Oz kick.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
And then what's it called? What's the hockey version called?
Minky.
Okay.
How did you start? Like, was it a friend? Or
I got invited down. Yeah, a primary school friend invited me down. Said, why not come give it a go? And basically from there, didn't look back.
Yeah, and look how far you've come. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What I'm really excited about is the new domestic competition of hockey, the Hockey One competition that's starting at the end of this month. You're actually going to be playing for HC Melbourne. Can you tell us a little bit about that competition?
Hockey One was launched earlier on this year, and we've moved away from a state-based system now to clubs and cities. And initially we were playing for a home city to start with, but the idea is that in years to come it'll become a bit more of a draft type system, and there'll be a backing for players to be able to play in different cities and states around the country. And I guess the idea was that unfortunately hockey was falling behind. We had a 2-week state tournament where the best players in the country would play, but it would be played only in one location, so only one city was able to see the top players around the world, whereas now we've moved to, I think it's about a 6 to 8 weekend competition, home and away games. We're engaging with fans. They've changed the rules slightly. A couple of those tinkered with just to make it a bit more viewer friendly and hopefully get some younger crowds, but also bigger crowds along to the game. And I mean, you talk to me, I'm so pumped about it. There's a lot of other girls in the national program who are really excited about it. We finally get to play home and away over 6 weeks, whereas we previously played 6 games in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it really reminds me of a bit like the Big Bash League, how the rule changes and the bright uniforms and all that kind of stuff about it is so exciting. But I think what's so exciting about it is the fact that it's a women's and a men's comp together. Like it's really well integrated, and there's going to be double headers and things like that. So that for me is so exciting. Can you talk to a bit about that?
Yeah, it's really exciting, and I think that's something that hockey does so well. Our men and women are treated equally. We often play one after the other. People are just as excited to watch the men as they are to watch the women. So I can't wait to play either before or after the men, or for them to play before or after us. And we get to travel with them. So I think there's so much that we can learn, and they also can learn from us. And we've kind of started to tap into that over here a little bit between the two programs. Like, they have so many different skills that they can offer us, but then us, we've got tactics and different things like that go hand in hand, but we probably don't tap into the resources enough. So I think it's really exciting that it's going to be a domestic competition with both genders playing at the same time, and young boys and young girls can come along and look up and aspire to ideally play at that level one day.
It really is a true gender equal sport, which is fantastic, and hockey's taken that leadership role in the sporting landscape as far as that is concerned, and the culture that creates as well. Can you talk about what you've obviously been involved in cricket, but probably at the top level, certainly it's been hockey for the last decade, but can you talk about what the culture is like within the sport in Australia?
Yeah, I think it's quite a unique culture because we are a bit of a smaller sport. So if you don't really play hockey, we haven't kind of really tapped into the market of people who are not playing hockey as yet. We don't really have fans outside of a hockey area, but I think the culture, I mean, especially at the club level in Melbourne, everyone is so supportive of each other. Everyone is so interested in what's going on. A lot of people want to grow the game and take it as far as we possibly can. And I think it's a really positive culture, maybe because we don't have as much media exposure as yet. Almost as a result, there's less drama going on. There's less issues going on just because we don't have that high profile. But yeah, I mean, the culture is really positive. I almost can't talk highly enough of how good the culture of hockey is within Australia. And it's a different culture to the culture that I was around in, I guess, the cricket side of things. I think because I spent less time there, I probably didn't get as involved in the culture with cricket. But yeah, I'm heavily involved with the culture here with hockey in Australia.
So with this new competition, Hockey One, there's 7 teams, as you said. They're based on all the major capital cities, a couple of new rules. What are the new rules, by the way?
Testing me, I think, pretty sure, because there was some that was introduced last year and some that have been kept and some that haven't.
Yep.
So there's a penalty field goal conversion after you score a field goal. So it's a one-on-one with the keeper, so basically to increase the scoring that way. So that one's definitely been kept because that makes it a bit more exciting. Last year they went down to 9 aside. For the last 5 minutes of the second and fourth quarter. I think that one's been removed.
Yep.
And also last year they had some power plays, which, I mean, the idea was right, but it doesn't really work in hockey. And it meant you basically got double points for your goals. So, and that one's been removed as well, just with the feedback of what came from last year's tournament. So, I really like the fact that one-on-one, other than Oceania, decide every tournament these days. I think it's fantastic that we get to practice them regularly and they're becoming a bigger and bigger part of our game because the more we can do them, you look back to Rio, England or GB won the Olympics purely on their one-on-ones and they had a great set of them and the keeper did really well and all of a sudden they beat the Dutch who, were so far ahead of everyone in terms of how likely they were to win. I think it showcases skill of individual players but also brings the goalies into the game a little bit more than they'd otherwise be in the game.
And it's also improving your ability to play under pressure. You're being live streamed on KO and televised live on Fox Sports. So not only is it obviously giving a greater population an appetite for this sport, it's giving you guys an opportunity to play in front of bigger audiences.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, that's great. We can get as many people down to the ground, but the fact that it's accessible on KO or Fox is amazing. Some people physically cannot get down to the ground and then others, due to commitments or whatever, can't get to the hockey centre. So as a result, pop KO on or pop Fox on and I can watch it and be involved in the competition from far away. I know in AFL, that's what I do half the time. I'd love to go to the footy, but for whatever reason, you can't get there. But the fact that it's so accessible on TV is fantastic. And I think it's also, as you mentioned, good for the athletes to be able to play with cameras around as well. Like it was quite interesting. So this year's Pro League, that was the first game that I played in that was on Fox. And just the amount of media coverage and there's people running here and everywhere and there's cameras set up, there's interviews going on and it can be quite overwhelming, I guess, at times. You're like, oh gosh, there's so much going on. So to expose the younger athletes to that at as young age as possible, then they're only going to be beneficial or they're only going to benefit from it in the future. So they'll just be used to it. It'll become something that's no longer foreign.
What are the Australian crowds like compared to some of the overseas crowds? Like, is it a bit crazy overseas? Like I know in some other countries hockey is absolutely massive. And do you find there's more pressure when you're travelling to different places, like from the crowd?
Yeah, so in Holland the crowd is insane. That they could have 1,000 people there and it would sound like there's 10,000 people there. And more often than not they get 5,000 or so people there, if not more. The main issue is just due to the size of the actual grandstand at a hockey pitch. You can't fit enough people in typically. The crowds there are amazing. They're so into it. They chant the whole time. Think of soccer crowds, that's basically, but without the flares and the dangerous kind of stuff, mainly just supporting their team rather than having a go at the other teams. So, I mean, it's something you've got to take into consideration. We went to Argentina this year. They're similar. And even our team chat beforehand was, well, you may actually not be able to hear each other calling. So as a result, you're going to have to look more, you're going to have to be aware more and just taking that into consideration. And I think the more we get exposed to that, the better, because you come to an Olympic Games, you come to a Com Games, you come to a World Cup, you're probably going to have big crowds. And if you're not prepared for that and you haven't practiced it, then it can be quite hard to, execute those skills under pressure. So we did really well this year in Melbourne and with our Pro League, we sold out 2 games, 5,000 tickets each. The main issue was that our crowds are just silent. There was 5,000 people in the house, but it was not deadly silent, but it was quite quiet. So that's definitely a work on for our hockey crowds within Australia, that they actually have to get into it a little bit more. We need a bit more of a home crowd advantage and to put the other team off a little bit more. But that's all a work in progress. And,
well, hopefully this domestic competition will sort of spark that hockey interest, and you will sort of see the crowds getting behind their teams a lot more.
Definitely, yeah.
So have you allowed yourself to dream? You talk about choosing hockey over cricket, and obviously the carrot there is being able to play in an Olympics and potentially an Olympic gold medal over obviously potentially a greater income. When did that dream start for you? What was it like for you if you were a little girl, and how was it ignited? Can you describe it for us?
Yeah, I think at a pretty young age. I mean, I can't specifically give you an age, but yeah, probably when I was in primary school. I think because I played so much sport and watched so much of it, I just was like, I want to be there one day, watching the Olympics. I don't have any recollection of the 2000 Olympics, but a lot of hockey players say that's what sparked when they won gold in Sydney. Yeah, but for me, it was probably not necessarily seeing hockey at a young age. It was probably just being involved in sport. And then the fact that I loved hockey and played hockey, I was like, well, I'm going to do that in that sport. I want to, reach the ultimate success. I want to become the best athlete I possibly can be. And yeah, I think I had a lot of role models and sporting greats that I looked up to when I was younger, and I just loved, and it's something that I kind of like tapping into these days. I love the impact that they could have on myself as a young girl, and looking up to them, I wanted to be them. They motivated me, they inspired me, and the ones that then took the time to actually say, hi, how you going, have a little bit of a chat, and then get your autograph, rather than the ones you went up to, another autograph, here we go, and sign it off. And I think that's something that I look back and reflect now, not that we get asked for that many autographs, but when we do.
Get ready, hockey one, you will.
Yeah, I know, exactly. We were in the rock camp and we got a fair few. I want to make it personal. I want to make, that child that I'm signing for feel the way I did when, that one person took the time out to ask me how I was going or what my name was, or remembered me if they, I saw them again, or for whatever reason. But yeah, I just think that was something, and having my dad was involved with Hawthorn Footy Club and was often in the rooms, and Shane Crawford is one, for example, that I looked up to a lot, and he was just an absolute workhorse, and I was like, I want to be like him, just the female version. It kind of probably came together through lots of different things throughout my childhood. And yeah, I think I probably didn't realise as well that I actually had the potential to reach that level. Like, I had a lot of people telling me, you've got potential, blah, 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 and I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm not listening to it. I'm not hearing it. I knew that I was one of the better ones in my age group, but I was like, so it'll be fine. I'll just play through the Vic stuff. I'll make maybe one senior Victorian team, and that'll be it. Never really believed until later on that, actually, no, like, I have a really great work ethic, and maybe I do have, the talent to actually pursue this to a serious level and represent Australia. I guess a mixture of all different things that kind of came together to help me continue to pursue the dream that still sits there, that's, kicked off one, representing Australia, and continuing to do that's incredible. But yeah, would love to go to the Olympics, and then also to come home with a medal. Ideally a gold one would be, pretty incredible.
Absolutely. When was that when was that moment, that turning point, that catalyst? What was the catalyst that made you think, I can do this?
Yeah, probably around recently, early 20s, late teens, which is probably a lot later than some people. I think I had a lot of self-doubt and worried that I wasn't good enough, and continued to perform at a high level and had setbacks and non-selection and all the rest. And I think for me, I'm someone that responds to selection screw it, I'm going to prove to you that, I'm good enough, and I'm going to work harder to improve and all the rest. And non-selection can go one of two ways. So that's personally just how, I respond to it. But probably around that, late teens, early 20s point where I was like, I actually know, I can be there and I want to be there, and maybe I could be there now, but I'm not being selected. So how can I do everything I possibly can to make sure that when I am picked, and I will be picked, and definitely self-doubt came in at certain points of time and going, is this ever going to happen? But that I'm 100% ready to go. I hit the ground running. I don't look back. I don't wish that I could have done more in my preparation. I literally tick every single box and leave no stones unturned, and making sure I make the most of I guess every session. It can sound quite cliche, but I was in a position for a while and acknowledged as an athlete that could continue to have a pathway that wasn't being picked within a development squad, so desperately, so close to breaking into that senior squad, but just wasn't getting selected. So it was about, I guess, finding that self-belief and going, actually, no, I can do this, and then making sure I did everything in my power to make sure that that dream became a reality.
So, Sophie, you mentioned that Shane Crawford was one of your sporting heroes. What about female sporting heroes? Who do you look to today or in the past that's really inspired you?
Yeah, so this is, I've been asked this question before, and it's probably something that comes to me. I look back to my childhood and I had no female sporting hero, and that's something that's really sad, I guess, for me. The fact that whether I wasn't exposed to it, it wasn't on TV, females were not what I looked up to, and it's something that kind of hits home quite hard that was the case. That's something that I guess I've over time started to introduce more sporting heroes and female heroes, I guess, into my life and starting to mould myself off them a little bit. I mean, going out of the sporting arena, I've watched Brene Brown's Netflix show. I'm sure you guys probably have, and just reading a bit more about her and I guess how she leads and I guess the courage to put yourself out there to fail and all those kind of things. She's someone that, not that I want to be like her, but I feel like there is so much that I can personally learn off her. So I guess she's a bit of a hero and inspiration to kind of mould my life around. I think the more I've then now got to know some of the individual hockey roos who were a part of the 2000 Olympic team, I just go like, oh, I wish I, looked up to them when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, and I just probably wasn't exposed to it. It's incredible how successful that group of women were and what they had to go through, and now living it myself, how hard it is to be successful and to be the best in the world and to continuously be the best in the world. You just go, oh my goodness, there's someone now that whilst that happened years ago, I look up to them so much. I'm like, oh gosh, I wish, they could sometimes pass on more of their knowledge and I guess tips and tricks and all the rest, and dealing with, I guess, being in hockey, they're not from outside.
So we look at the Olympics. You mentioned 2000 team. So the Hockey Roos have won 3 gold medals, 88 Seoul, 96 in Atlanta. And I actually saw a couple of their matches, which were amazing. And then Sydney, which is thrilling, obviously in front of a home crowd. What is now you guys have put yourself in a bit of an awkward situation that this is a do or die qualifying. But in terms of where Australia is ranked at the moment on the world stage, where are the Hockey Roos sitting when we look towards Tokyo? What are our chances of medaling?
Yeah, so we're world number 2 in a pro league. Made the final and lost to the Dutch in shootouts, who have been the world's best team.
Yes.
Pretty much since we won in Sydney. So with Argentina chopping and changing here and there. So, I mean, the amount of talent and the ability that we have in our current Hockey Roos group and with some of the athletes outside of that squad, I honestly believe that ideally we qualify for the Olympics, and when that happens, we can win a Olympic gold medal. And I mean, there's probably been people in the past that have said, I honestly believe that, and it doesn't happen, and a lot of things have to fall into place. But I think we've, set ourselves up, other than not qualifying currently, in a really good position. We're constantly pushing at each other as a group, and there's a lot of a positive vibe and culture, and it's something that we've worked on a lot recently, and it's something we're going to continue to have to work on as every team does, not just using our world ranking. We're currently number 2. I guess we need to probably get a bit more consistent with our performances. Sometimes these things, by not qualifying when you ideally thought you were going to,
exactly,
and all the rest, are little things you need to make sure that you then get to the point, you turn it to AFL, teams losing in the lead up to finals, all of a sudden they have a great run through finals, and maybe this is what we needed. Who will know? We won't know until it's the end of August next year and the Olympics are over. But sometimes you need a catalyst. Sometimes you need disappointment, rather than just smooth sailing all the way in the middle of something going, oh, we just weren't prepared. So I hope that's the reason. I hope that's the learning that us as a group take. But we have a very exciting group, 27 plus other athletes that I think can do some pretty amazing things within the next year, but also within years to come.
Very exciting for Australian hockey fans. And I want to talk to you about an individual achievement. You talked about the team achievements. So you're a physiotherapy student. I hate to say it, but so was I. We both went to La Trobe Uni. It's amazing. But you're about to graduate. So I want to ask you a couple of physio questions, or maybe even at least one. Can you name the bones in the hand?
Oh, no.
You know the acronym. Did you ever hear the acronym? Some lovers try positions that they can't handle. Do you guys ever use that one?
Oh, well, yeah, we learned it when we did anatomy in class. So I remember it that in depth at the moment. Health placement, that's front of mind at the moment.
I was told by, my brother actually works at Hockey Australia, and I was speaking to Nick, who's the media manager. He goes, ask her about physio, give her a curly one. I was like, perfect. I'll throw that one in. All right. Well, so when is graduation for you? Is it coming up, or is it in a couple of years?
Yeah, I've got 10 days left of placement.
Oh, wow.
Very much coming up.
I
can't wait for it to be over. I'm counting them down currently as we speak.
Very, very exciting. And all right, well, we're going to let you get off the phone because you need to go and study.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm about to go teach Pilates, so I do actually need to run in a little bit. So, yeah.
Okay, well, on that note, Sophie, we better let you go. Thank you so much for joining us on Sportswomen Australia, and all the very best to you and the team on your road to Tokyo.
Lovely to chat to you. See you later. Bye.
You can follow Sophie on Instagram, Sophie Taylor _, and of course the Hockey Roos at Hockey Roos Official. And you can follow us, Sportswomen Australia, which is our handle for both Facebook and Instagram. And for Twitter, it's Sportswomen AU. And all the information about the journey to Tokyo, of course, and for Hockey One is in our show notes as well. So check that out.
Yeah, and make sure you do tune in next week for our next guest, and we'll try to make sure that they're not a carey grammarian.
We'll see about that. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Amanda.
Thanks, Tiff.